I must say, you're one of the very few people. I mean, I know people don't really know this, that I'm a hermit. So it's very rare in my life that I actually accept an invitation. I've shared a room with you when we traveled for a global elective in the US. I've gone to your home overnight, things that I don't usually do. And we've had like really touching conversations. And the one insight you gave me is how the Indian community is not homogenous. Because people kind of look at, I wasn't aware about the spirit of the Cape Coloureds or even Cape Indians versus Durban Indians or Joburg Indians. It was amazing. I mean, what insights can you share in terms of us with our history of race and how we tend to box each other and stereotype each other? Because it has helped me, especially in how I look at people and appreciating diversity, that I cannot just look at you as your race and assume this is the experience I'm going to have.
I think that that's exactly it, right? I think that far too many of us wear lenses that are colored by what we visually are seeing. And so even when we look at black people, like everybody's different. I can't look at you and like say that you're representative of all black people in South Africa, because that's not true. Your upbringing is different, your socialization has been different, your financial situation is different, who you're engaging with is different. And so even though you may come from a certain grouping, ethnic grouping of black people, you may not be representative of that group. And so I guess the same applies to like Indian people, which was that conversation that we had. Like I'm not the same as like somebody that comes from Durban merely because I come from Cape Town. And then too, even amongst Indian people, I guess like there are also like, classism exists, right? Like whether we want to believe that it does or it doesn't, it absolutely exists. I was reading a research paper the other day that indicated that classism plays out in language when people are being interviewed, and interviewers are more likely to take somebody who speaks better language, and consequently somebody from a higher class would speak linguistically, linguistically, articulation, clarity, tone, etc. would be much better than somebody else. And so even though you may have higher education levels, because of your ability to converse with somebody else in a specific language, you're considered for the position. You're more likely to be considered for the position than somebody else with higher qualifications. And they say that that happens in the first few minutes of an interview. So I think that there are many things at play when we are engaging with one another. And I think that this idea of race, I just feel like we are a diverse nation regardless of race, regardless of what our history is. And I think that if we, just as human beings, start looking at each other as human beings and accepting that like we are different, and we can accept that difference and embrace it, I think that we'd be so much better. And that's around the world, not just here in South Africa. It's a global phenomenon. Wars are fought over religion, wars are fought over different races, different colors, genocides. I think these things are, I feel like if each person can just become more conscious and more conscientious of how they react and relate to everybody else, we'd have a better world, right? But that's not...
We can only strive.
We can only strive for that. So I feel like if everybody has that aspiration, I feel like we'd have a better world.